for you is a little special because my guests are sitting in different places across the world. Somebody is sitting in Singapore, somebody is sitting in Hong Kong, and somebody is probably sitting in India right now, which I will get to know very soon. So today's webinar, the agenda, the kind of webinar that we are doing here, as you can see in the thumbnails as well, which made you click to this particular webinar, is Hong Kong the right place for you to do your MBA? And rightly so, because a lot of you guys who have probably taken your CATs have seen the kind of results that has come out, has made you feel like, what are the kind of options that you have? Should you go for an MBA abroad, or you should stay back in India, do your MBA from the B schools that you're getting now, or wait for another year? But these decisions are not easy decisions to make, both financially and emotionally, and especially when an MBA abroad is associated with your decision. There is more thought put into it. So we thought that we will try and make this easier for you a little bit by talking to people who are part of B school, which is in terms of ranking top 50 in globally, and we're talking about CUHK here. And from CUHK we have Monish, Singh, we have Abhishek, Vats, who have been part of this institute before, and we have Professor Prasanna Karhade also with us, who teaches at this particular institute and who is in Hong Kong right now, sitting at his new office. So hi guys. I think Monish is yet to join us, but he will soon join us. There's some technical difficulties at his end that is causing the delay. We are going to talk a lot about their journey here. And I have been informed that Monish has also joined, so he might also be joining us very soon. Hi Monish. Hi once again. After the technical snag, we have got you back. So these very guys you can see in front of me, they're going to talk a little bit about their experience and journey at Hong Kong, the kind of institute that they have been part of, how Professor Prasanna is also making sure that these very minds are ready for the future and the kind of roles that they take up, and a lot more in this particular episode. So thank you very much once again, guys, for joining us in today. In brief, if you guys can talk a little bit about yourself and introduce yourselves, that would be great. Abhishek, we'll start with you.
Hello, Paul, and hello, everyone. My name is Abhishek Vats. I'm based out of Singapore, and I was in CUHK almost a decade ago when I was doing my MBA. So I was in the batch of 2010-11. Currently, I'm based in Singapore, and I work with Visa. I head the acceptance for Asia Pacific for Visa.
Right, lovely. Monish, will go next to you. If you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey with CUHK.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Monish Singh. I'm part of the 2019-20 batch, and I'm currently work with the Big Four as a consultant. I'm currently based in India.
Right, lovely. Thank you, Monish, for taking our time and being with us today. We'll move to you, Prasanna, now. Prasanna, sitting at your new office in Hong Kong. How does it feel right now, and how's the weather at Hong Kong?
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me. You've already made me feel welcome, so thank you very much. Hong Kong is a little cold right now. We have 4 seasons in Hong Kong, and so it's nice and cold, and I don't mind that at all. I grew up in Bombay. I left Bombay in 1999, so I've been around the block. I lived in the US for about 10 plus years, and I've lived in Hong Kong for more than 10 years. I joined the Chinese University of Hong Kong, CUHK, in August 22, and so that's what I'm doing right now, setting up my new office, and really excited because I will start teaching in March.
Superb, lovely. Great having you guys, all of you. As I mentioned in the beginning of this particular webinar, these very people are going to take you through some of their career decisions and the kind of learning that they have had in the MBA that they have had, and also what happened later on is something that we are going to cover definitely. Abhishek, I'm going to start with you because you're the senior most alum in this panel that we have ensembled. and you have done it in the time, as you mentioned, a decade back, where you were making that decision as to whether to go for an MBA or not, because you were working in Infosys for a good 3 years. So why did you choose to go abroad? That's something, a question that comes to a lot of people's mind, whether to go abroad, whether to stay in India, and sort of build your career to what you have already started.
Yeah, hi, Paul. Yeah, so thanks for that question. I had some similar doubts when I was preparing for my MBA back in 2009. Also went through similar options, whether to do it in an Indian B school or to go abroad. What I was more keen on was having a multicultural exposure that I understood very quickly while I was working at Infosys, that's one of the key things that's required while making decisions.
Right.
While I was writing multiple lines of codes, I wasn't sure how are my codes helping to make that decision.
Yeah.
And to do that, I wanted to get some insights that was very well taught at some of these B schools, especially the ones abroad. So that was my key reason of choosing a school outside of India. But then there was also a question whether I should be going west or east. I decided to go east because that's where I saw that the growth was happening. And then that decision hasn't gone wrong, because we have seen a lot of the growth is still coming from Asia, with India, China, Southeast Asia booming. That has helped me to grow in my career after my MBA as well. So yeah, that were some of the few considerations.
Right, and Hong Kong, because of its strategic location and the kind of place that it's in, and the kind of talent it basically attracts, also makes it a kind of a place where a lot of people are willing to be part of and go and further their study and education. Was that the case for you also, Monish, when you were deciding that you wanted to do an MBA? You were a petro marketing graduate, if I'm not wrong. This is something that I'm not very aware of. Tell us a little bit about what exactly were you doing? What was the specialization about? From here, why did you decide that you wanted an MBA, and that too in a place like CUHK?
Okay, so like before I actually planned for my MBA, I was mostly working in consulting industry. And while working in consulting industry, I realized two things: that that industry is evolving, and that new economy industries like fintech, insurance tech, and this kind of industries are going to drive the growth of the market. Another thing which Mr. Vats also said is that the global economy growth will be mainly driven by Southeast Asia, and especially two giants, that is India and China. And I was looking for a place which would offer me access to this both job markets. So Hong Kong is a kind of market which is a gateway to the mainland, and also something which connects you to the Western world and also to India as well. So Hong Kong is a place where we can get all those things. Plus CUHK offers some nice courses related to fintech and all those things, fintechs, and also some live projects as well. So that's why I opted for this program, and this was in my mind when I opted for CUHK.
Right, but why CUHK? You had something in mind specifically that my B school that I would like to go to would have ABC, certain things in place, that you were looking for.
Yeah, so there are three things I was specifically looking for. First thing, as I said, something as I was looking for B schools that offer me knowledge which would help me develop skills in new economy industries. As I said, CUHK has programs such as fintech 101, and courses such as strategy as well. So those are really helpful in developing my skill set in new economy industries. And apart from it, like, yeah, I got opportunities to pursue my MBA in other B schools as well, some of them in India as well, but I opted for CUHK because of another thing is because of what do you say, huge alumni network. They have a very strong alumni network. got alumni in different parts of India, include different parts of the world, including India. So it was easy for me, once I pass out from once I complete my MBA, I have in mind that, I should join a B school that offer me that opportunity, in case if anything go haywire. I don't know why it came to my mind that if anything go haywire, that, I would have some backup in forms of alumni whom I can connect and then, pitch my profile and everything. So,
Right.
and it really helped me well, because, you all know what happened post 2019, COVID-19, all those things happened. So it really helped me well. The alumni are really helpful, and this actually was one of the decisions why I opted for CUHK.
Right. And Prasanna, you must have seen a lot of these batches where, as Monish was saying, the alumni members are part of the legacy that CUHK has built over the years. You know, how is the program at CUHK like, Prasanna, which Monish was also talking about? You wanted specific program outputs from the kind of program that you was getting part of. What brought you to Hong Kong in the first place? You said that you moved out of India in the 90s, and from there on, you stayed in West. You have decided to come back to Hong Kong and start teaching. What kind of pedagogy that you are trying to build here? What is the program offering right now to the students of CUHK? And you work in a department which is very interesting and unique. When I read about it, it's called Decision Sciences and Managerial Economics. So what is it? What is it about?
Hong Kong is a fantastic combination of East and West. And as you know, Paul, you used a very key word earlier in your conversation. You said Hong Kong attracts a lot of talent. Yeah, so Hong Kong is that magnet. So that is a beautiful metaphor for Hong Kong, because it is able to attract top talent from around the world. Hong Kong is a fantastic combination of East and West. It's also a fantastic combination of mountain and sea. And so if you look behind me, you can see our beautiful campus, and it's almost the frame anywhere you look. There is a beautiful mountain and the sea. And so it's a fantastic place to live. The quality of life it offers is astonishing. I have lived in many cities around the world. I think Hong Kong packs so much in this small area that I find it truly beautiful to live here. Hiking is accessible, and public transport is just amazing. So those are some of the things that I like. Coming to CUHK, the Chinese University of Hong Kong turns 60 this year. Okay? So we have been a part of Hong Kong's growth for a long time. We had the first business school in the city, and so we have a very big alumni network, like Monish and Abhishek have already told us. CUHK is a comprehensive university. It has a terrific business school, of course. We have a thriving medical school. We have a thriving law school. We have a terrific school of social sciences. And so what that really means is there is this truly diverse intellectual environment on campus, and that is really something that is truly unparalleled at CUHK. And so that is what brought me back here to CUHK, the business school. And the same continues to be the case in my own department. And so my department, the Department of Decision Sciences and Managerial Economics, is essentially three sets of scholars, high-powered intellectuals in technology, which is where I'm at, operations management, with the whole Hong Kong's location, supply chain, logistics, that domain of study, and managerial economics. And so this is the intellectual diversity right in my department. And then if you broaden your gaze and look at the business school, we have some of the best marketing scholars, management scholars, accounting professionals. And so it is just this terrific academic environment that brought me here. And I don't know if you know about the location of our business school, Paul, but it is the Hong Kong Science Park. The Hong Kong Science and Technology Park is across the road, literally. You can't see it in that picture, but it's right there if you dip down. So that's the Hong Kong government incubator. It has currently about 800 startups and wanting to grow and go to 2,000 startups in the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah. And so there is this terrific interaction with the industry, which shapes our pedagogy. And so I will always have speakers from the startup world coming in to my classroom. That keeps the material relevant. This naturally sets up the interaction between my students and the industry, which is hungry for talent, which is really the theme that I hear right now in Hong Kong. It is a terrific time to rebuild. There are more jobs than we have candidates, and so I think what we will see is a terrific rebuilding of Hong Kong in the years ahead.
Right, lovely. Prasanna, you have interest in digital innovation, in design thinking, and in entrepreneurship. Some of the things that India is also probably, is catching up very fast and is making remarkable progress in, along with the rest of the world. In this kind of a setup, in this kind of context, how are you making sure that the students that you are preparing, or the kind of students that you are teaching, you are giving them cutting edge technology to play with, and making sure that if they are being part of industries where these things are needed, they are acing at it?
I think these are some very important questions, Paul. I think technology is truly transforming the entrepreneurial activity. And so if you really think about innovation as trying to address the unarticulated needs of your customers, I think technology is playing a very vital role. It is really truly helping you in real time understand the pulse of the market. It gets you closer to your customers, and I think that is what is changing the way business will be conducted. Yeah, in the years ahead, and the pace at which this is changing in real time is astonishing, and that's why we believe here at the CUHK Business School in offering live projects. I'm going to be heading a group of MBA students and working with a company, very experiential learning, in the sense the company, my group of MBA students and me put together, we shape the project, and it takes a life of its own. And this is live, this is real work that will have an impact in the industry, and will kind of shape the leaders that we are wanting to groom in the future.
Right, lovely. Abhishek, I'll come back to you. I know for a fact that you've been waiting for quite some time to speak, but I would like you to reflect a little bit on your sort of journey that you have had after you left India, being part of CUHK. You've also been to National University of Singapore for your exchange program. If I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong on this. How was that experience? When you've clubbed these kind of experiences and learnings that you are getting from different B schools, different people that you're meeting, and the kind of ideas that you're getting from these places. How does that add up?
Yeah, so Paul, CUHK has this amazing exchange program in which there are tie-ups with some of the best universities in the world, where students go from CUHK to their schools. And at the same time, during our course, a lot of students came in from those universities to our school as well. So the class was always quite diverse. I remember, though it's been a while, I remember our class having more than 30 nationalities, and someone was working at the embassy, someone was a lawyer, someone was from the real estate, people from technology were also there. So it was pretty good, and like I said, exchange program was a good opportunity for me personally to see how some of the other universities and some of the other courses that are taught in those universities can add value to what I wanted to do. So like I said, I wanted to be in Asia. The other option was another good school in Singapore, which is National University of Singapore. I only applied to that exchange program, even though we could apply for 3. And then I took that one. And that was probably a good decision now, coming to think about it, because again, I came to Singapore very similar in terms of a similar city country like Hong Kong, similar in terms of the talent it attracts because of all the financial institutions, all the companies like Big Fours, all of them based here. And now it also has a lot of this fintech scene going on. So all of that also is happening here. But back in those days, it was a lot of that was also getting started. Finance was already there, but the fintech thing was still a new term. So when I was in National University of Singapore, the experience was pretty good. One of the changes that I saw coming from Hong Kong to Singapore was, like Prasanna said, Hong Kong has 4 seasons, Singapore has 1, which is pretty all the time. It's hot and humid. The best temperature is probably 25 degrees when people start feeling a bit cold. So it's very much like Bombay or Chennai weather. So that was one of the things I experienced. But the university is amazing. We had some great courses. One of the course I would remember is a course that was taught on negotiations, which is something that I really wanted to learn, and that was offered as a part of this exchange program. And then again, more diversity coming from CUHK, where there were a lot of global nationalities and a lot of people from China. In NUS, there were a lot of people from Southeast Asia. So then I got to know how things work in Indonesia or Vietnam, and how people think from those who come from those places. So working with them on projects, on group projects, was a great experience. And as a result, we had an even broader alumni base, combining both CUHK and NUS that we could tap on. And at the same time, that has continued. A lot of our friendships and a lot of our connections that we built in both of these schools has continued so far. So that has been amazing, and something I really would recommend people who would do an MBA to do. Try to go out of their business school, and if there is a program like exchange program that's offered, then do take that.
Right. You're talking about the fintech and the kind of boom that was happening, and you realized that potential while you were at NUS also. And you joined in a bank, that is the Bank of China, for an internship during your time at CUHK. Was finance something that you were gunning for at that time, Abhishek, because of the learnings that you were also getting around that time? Was finance typically the space that you wanted to be? Financial services was the typical place that you wanted to be, or fintech was something that you were eyeing from there on, or the pedagogy at CUHK was helping you push towards that?
Yeah, so fintech actually, like I said, was not even a term that was there back in 2011. So financial services, yes, I kind of knew some areas that I wanted to explore. I wasn't sure what exactly, which industry exactly I wanted to work in. But then the projects that I did with Bank of China International, in which we made strategy for them to expand in different markets. That was one of the projects that we did. Another internship that I did with ING gave me exposure to the financial services and the insurance sector. So all of them, those things were really helpful to pave the path for the next things I did and the next jobs I took. So when I started looking for a job at that time, and this was also during my time in Singapore, at that time I was looking at a lot of these companies, also banks that I considered, but I actually chose to work and start my career after CUHK. And aside from the internships I did, like the first actual job that I did was with a startup, and that was a lot thanks to the learnings and some of the things, the courses, the introductions on different courses like marketing, operations, all of that I got. That was very handy in a startup, because startup you are just given everything to do. So I worked with this company back in the days. It was an incubator that I started with, what's called Rocket Internet, and a lot of companies Even in India, they have been incubated by this. Jabong was one of the companies, Food Panda, some of the names. In Southeast Asia, we were doing Zalora, Lazada, Food Panda, and I became a part of Zalora as the companies grew. So during that time, like I was saying, you were just thrown any particular problem and were asked to solve. We were around 30, 40 people sitting in a warehouse kind of room. And then the team was growing as the business was growing every day. And as a part of that, in one of my conversations with my CFO back in the days, he said that, hey, today the person who was looking at this payment thing is not there. Can you just have a look? And I was like, okay, but I don't know much about payments except that, in one of the projects back in Infosys, I wrote some lines of codes. But that's the good thing about startups and the learnings that you get from MBA, that you can at least try, and you don't say no to things. So I took that opportunity, and that was a key decision in my career, because from there on, I have been in payments industry, in fintech industry ever since. And that has helped me to, in Zalora, in the next few years, I was heading the payments. I put the strategy for payments in all of their 8 countries across Asia, across Southeast Asia. Then I moved to Adyen, which is one of the biggest fintech companies in the world, where again, I spent a few years, and now I'm working with Visa, again, part of the payment industry. So that has been very exciting. But back in the day, I didn't know that that's where I would land. I knew the nuance, like the things that I was interested in. I knew few things that I wanted to explore, and things happen.
Super. Things happen, and it just does. It falls in place when you know for the fact that you're listening to your heart, and things just open up. For people who are listening to this conversation, you can ask questions to these people who are sitting here. If you have any doubts about the institute, feel free to ask those questions. We'll take those questions up very soon. I also have an announcement to make, which is about the 2023 intake of CUHK. There is a full scholarship that is there, the CUHK MBA. The CUHK MBA Excellence, to be precise. There's a link in the description or the chat box that you might just see. Go through it. People with outstanding potential, outstanding students are going to get this full scholarships. To obtain the full scholarship, the admission panel will go through the qualifications, the nominations, the people who have applied for it. There will be a panel interview to judge. There'll be rounds for this. To know more about these things, you have to click on the link that you can see on the channel right now. I think my team is definitely going to put that up on the chat box where you can ask questions as well. And all of this needs to happen before 31st January 2023. I think you can also meet Prasanna during this process and have your doubts solved and clear. And going back to our conversation, I just want to know from you guys, while you were in Hong Kong, what was the life like? Monish, I will come back to you. How was it like for you? You went there at a time when Hong Kong was going through some transformations. There was some something or the other that you would hear from Hong Kong coming up at that point in time. How was your experience overall? What did you do during your time there, and how would you define that experience to be?
I would say, Paul, it was really unexpected. A few things were really unexpected at that time. But the thing is that it worked out as you said earlier, like if you have the right intention, it works out. I would say the initial few months are really exciting because we are having networking events. We used to connect with alumni. We used to connect with other school people as well. We used to have a lot of tracks there. We used to have, I attended 2 tracks. One was China track, another was Singapore track. And in fact, I got an internship opportunity during Singapore track as well. So a lot of events were happening before COVID, but post-COVID, I would say the tracks and the kind of physical interaction did get reduced. But as far as networking events are concerned, I did not feel that much impact, because most of the networking events started moving online. We used to frequently have Zoom events where we used to connect with various alumni, and even from academic point of view, uh, most of the content were digitalized even before COVID-19 happened. So there was nothing much that impacted our studies as well. But yeah, the one thing I missed are the parties. We used to have a lot of parties and kind of events that happened before COVID, which obviously got reduced, and we are just limited to few get-togethers that we used to have in the hostel dorms. That's it. But before COVID, it was pretty exciting, I would say.
Right. Abhishek, were you also part of these parties? Do you remember some of these stories from your time?
I think I only remember those, all the parties and the late nights and Langkai Fong. There's the very happening party area in Hong Kong, which we used to go almost 2 times a week. But yeah, it was also because one of our campuses back in the days, I'm not sure Prasanna if it's the same. One of the campuses was based in the city, and we used to have some of the classes that were happening in that campus. So Bang Phai Phong was a very short distance from there, and these are the places where of course you're having party or you're having a good time, but these are the places where you also become much closer to the peers that you're studying with. You find their interest areas outside of the usual work or study that you're doing in a classroom. So that was quite helpful. I do remember one thing that we did that was in the first few weeks of the program, that was called Outward Bound program, which was really exciting, in which we were sent for 5 days to hike in the mountains of Hong Kong, and we had to deal with all the not just hiking, and it was a difficult trek. It was not the easiest of treks, and I was not used to doing a lot of treks, but then we were given a limited supply of food. We were split in groups, and that was a great time when we bonded together as a team. It taught us a lot of team learning and team building. There were a lot of team building activities in that one, and the way it ended was we had to build a boat out of few things that we are given, like a drum, some ropes, and few bamboo sticks, and we had to cross from one side of the sea to the other side of the sea. Of course, they're like from one island to the other, which was really exciting because again, like the boat, it collapsed in between, and we had to fix it on the go. So all of those things, whether that's still there or not, there are very creative ways of learning that CUHK offers, which comes very handy and are good life lessons as well, I would say.
And I think Prasanna would be the right person to tell us if these practices are still there, or there are new practices that he kind of devises as part of his plan of teaching that he does there. What sort of a diversity do you see now, Prasanna? Which are the kind of countries that people mostly come into this particular institute and study, and how do you make sure that you make this studying fun and lively, as Abhishek was mentioning?
Well, I guess the fun part, the students take care of it by going to Lang Pai Fong, it sounds like. Jokes apart, there is true intellectual diversity on this campus. There is an express intention to internationalize. And so that's why they hired someone like me and many of my other colleagues. There is intellectual diversity, there is diversity of experiences. And I think this is what contributes to the rich experience that our alumni are talking about. Yeah, and I think learning happens inside the classroom. Learning happens outside the classroom. CUHK has a very interesting culture in the sense we have a very big college system. In the sense that even faculty are affiliated with a particular college. Which becomes a community within the CUHK community. I think that is a terrific place to find like-minded partners and academic peers. In general, this is what I like the most about CUHK. Truly a space to find yourself, a place to discover yourself. Like be it hiking, even I got into some serious hiking after I came to Hong Kong. I mean, there is a regular Thursday night hike that I do, a night hike. And so we that is the equivalent of going up 170 floors. We start in Chukingling and go all the way to Yatong. So that's the hike, the night hike we do, me and my buddies. The Sunday daytime hike is north-south of the island. So we start in Hopewell Center in Wan Chai and go all the way to Stanley. And so it is the equivalent of going up 300 floors. Very regularly I hike with my students. Very regularly I hike with my colleagues. There are a whole lot of visitors, academic visitors who come to Hong Kong in the summers. And I hike with them, and so I'm a little bit of a hiking ambassador. I'm going to be hiking with my dean very soon, and so Lynn, my dean. Right now, very soon we will get into Chinese New Year holiday season, and so after we are back from that, I'm going to go hiking with my dean and talk about a few things, things we have planned out for our students, and so this is. A very good balanced life that one can enjoy at CUHK. It's a very big mountain campus. You better have comfortable shoes if you have to walk around campus. And yeah, it's a terrific place to study.
So Prasanna, Abhishek and Monish, whoever wants to take this, I think Prasanna will be the right person right now to take these questions that I have specifically. I am going to take a few that has come up. What kind of career opportunities are abundant in key countries like Hong Kong and Singapore and China right now? Is this a question that he really is asking?
So the Hong Kong is definitely rebuilding. The Hong Kong Science Park, if you take that as an example, is a terrific place for entrepreneurship. There are more than 1,000 jobs right now. I mean, I very recently got in touch with the CEO of the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. There are more jobs than we can fill at this stage. And so fintech, of course, is a terrific space. Property tech is good. Given the terrific developments in technology and healthcare, I think that is a terrific domain where we are able to contribute. Logistics, of course, given Hong Kong's location in the world, so that is a terrific. So there are all these diverse domains in which you can find very healthy careers.
Right. There's one more question that is there that wants all the answers probably in one particular question. It's about how do I get into CUHK? What is the eligibility criteria? What are overall total expenses for this particular course? And job opportunities, as you mentioned, is probably booming right now in Hong Kong. So yeah, if you want to touch upon these.
Maybe some of the administrative questions, some of the people in the administrative office could handle better. Yeah, I would just like to kind of step back from this a little bit. I've been around the block. I went to the US in 1999. I was studying computer science at the time. Everything is hunky-dory, and then life happens. Yeah, and so then that dot-com bubble bursts, and then tragic events like 9/11 happen, and the world changes around you. And so you realize that the world doesn't owe you a job. And so you have to dig deep and fight for that job and fight for whatever you really want. Yeah. And so that happened in 2001. So I found a job in the middle of that recession. I sent my CV to my professor actually, and then he passed it on to my boss to be. And so this is 2001. And then I worked in the industry for about 30 months. Like Abhishek told us, it was not called fintech back then, but yeah, I mean, there were similar cash management systems that companies were developing. So I do that for 30 months, go back to school in 2003, work very hard to get my PhD. 2008, I'm on the market, and guess what happens? Well, Lehman Brothers goes bust. Yeah. And so These things will happen around you. Life happens around you, but you have to kind of dig deep and find and really fight for what you want. Yeah. And so my advice to students would be to not worry too much, worry less, believe in yourself, and just get to work. You will find it. There is a lot of there are a lot of jobs here, and so come with an open mind, be inspired, and you will find the job that you want.
Right. Monish, there is a question for you. Somebody is asking, Pragna is asking, in your personal opinion, India or abroad in the long run, what would you choose?
Yeah. So in the long run, I say, probably Hong Kong, because it is a place which you provide access both to India and Western market as well. So am I audible?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, we can hear you, Monish. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say Hong Kong would be the right market because it offers you, as I said earlier as well, that the growth of the global economy in the future will be driven by India and China. So you would like to sit in a place where you can look and connect with both these countries. So Hong Kong is a place which is the right, which acts as a bridge between these two also. I think Hong Kong would be the right place. That would be my suggestion for.
Right. Okay, Prasanna, you were mentioning about the kind of changes, the fintech revolution that has happened right now, and India is also looking towards the big innovation, the next big innovation. How important then it becomes for students to acquire the right skills from global schools like CUHK. You mentioned about the kind of changes that you are also trying to bring in. How important at this point in time Hong Kong is as a country, as a place where students go in and upskill themselves in such a way that they are ready for the challenges the world is posing at them.
I think it is. I would go back to the same metaphor, the metaphor of a magnet. The magnet will attract. Hong Kong, just like Monish said in his response, is a terrific blend of East and West, and it attracts this talent. It's a very unique space here. And so it will really be about making these important connections and kind of finding ways to benefit from those connections. Yeah, and so Hong Kong really truly opens the door, and it is the place to kind of get things done. It is an extraordinarily efficient society. I find it quite inspiring, actually, just to be in the classroom, to be surrounded by school students who really truly want to do something impactful. Yeah, and so I think this is a very good time to be in Hong Kong.
Right. Monish, in your case, you are working with a Big Four now as a consultant. How did you land up in this job? Because specifically your the unfortunate times that you were part of an MBA program was also something to consider about. There were lockdowns happening, there was economic downfall and recession that was followed, and yet you managed to carve something out for yourself. How did that happen in your journey? If you want to share with us.
Well, I would say it was not an easy journey, but and the good part was that my college was always there, so they helped me a lot with networking things. So even when I moved back to India, they would frequently connect with me and they would guide me to connect with so and so person. So this is how I connected with someone from this concerned Big Four, and I forwarded my CV for the concerned profile, and then I got a call for the job interview. But again, even during the interview rounds, they would mostly like to discuss the kind of live projects I did in CUHK. Like Prasanna said, they have CUHK has a lot of live projects. So I also during my MBA program got an opportunity to work with a very renowned insurance company and develop strategy for launch of an insurance tech product in Hong Kong market. So my interview was mostly focused on that live project only. So this is how I basically landed up into a consultant role in a Big Four.
Right. Abhishek, let's talk to you. You were mentioning about your experience with Zalora. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. Zalora, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So from there, you also walked your way up, and now you are with Visa. How do you see, this particular journey to be? Where did you think you went right or wrong in your journey? If you have to look back 10 years, would you do anything differently from there?
No, I would not. I would not do anything differently. Maybe there are a few occasions where I would do it better, but then that's there in all the scenarios and cases. What some of the decisions that I made at a point where uh, I had to choose between A and B. These are the points which kind of decides your thing for the next few years and even sometimes longer. So, like I said, when I was looking for a job just out of MBA, I had to really network and work hard to get that one, and then there were choices between working for a big company or banks at that point versus this startup opportunity that I was getting, and I chose to work in a startup because I wanted to learn about how a business is set up and how it is done at a very ground level, which is something that working in Zalora as a startup that taught me. And from there on, like I said, there you have to be in the right place at the right time, but to do that you have to be present and you have to take that opportunity. Had I said no, I don't want to uh, ch- do that thing because that's not my job, then I wouldn't have ended here, because that started my journey in the fintech and payments industry. So from there on, working at Adyen and then now working at Zalora and now leading a team for which looks after digital acceptance across Asia Pacific has been an amazing journey with a lot of learnings, which I'm very grateful for. I've been able to work with a lot of very smart people across all of these companies, which has helped a lot. And then, one thing that Prasanna pointed out, right, when he was talking is no one owes you a job. You have to really find it, and you have to look for, what you want at that point. And and one thing that is different between Indian B schools versus B schools outside is there is no campus placement, and that's a good thing, because that's when you start to learn how to network. You start to learn how to build your network, and you try it in different ways, and this is something that you'll continue doing job after job. So from this job, if I want to switch to another job, now there is no campus placement, right? So it prepares you well in advance to do something like that, and then people keep getting better at it rather than waiting for someone to give you a job on platter. So that's something that I really appreciated, and I really enjoyed. Back in the day, it not getting a job, getting a lot of rejections for the first few jobs that I had applied to was daunting, but that taught me patience. That taught me, you will get it. It just, you have to wait for the right opportunity. And there are plenty of jobs, whether in Hong Kong or Singapore. There are more jobs than number of people. So you'll get it, but just have to be there at the right place, right time.
Right. You're in Singapore for more than a decade now, right, Abhishek? It's become your home now. You probably must have been a citizen now if you would have applied for one. So yeah, I mean, that's your association with Singapore so far. But tell me a little bit about your role at Visa right now. What sort of work that you're doing there at this point in time? Do you feel like there are moments during your day or the kind of job that you are taking up where you feel like this is something that I've learned in my B school, or this is some learning that I've definitely carried from my time that I've learned there that I'm using right now to sort of bridging this problem and getting to a solution from
there? Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, like I said, I had digital acceptance. What that means is in a payment system like Visa, there are two sides. One is where a Visa card is issued, and you can probably use an ICICI card to make your payments. The other is when the cards are being accepted. whether it's through a terminal or you go and make a payment on Amazon or Flipkart. It goes through that payment gateway, and then there is an acquirer and a merchant sitting on the back of it. So I take care of everything on the acquiring side, as we call it, and I work with merchants, like all these e-commerce merchants. I work with some of the biggest retail stores across the region, and I work with acquirers, which are typically these banks, but now a lot of these fintech players like Adyen, which was an acquirer, which acquires the merchant, and they are our clients. They are clients of Visa. So my core job is to make sure that Visa is accepted everywhere, whether it is some of these big merchants and big enterprise merchants where it already is, but also across SMBs, small, medium-sized businesses, in some underpenetrated verticals, and a lot of places where we are not there today. So even in the B2B, business to business flows is something that we are trying to capture. And all of that through partnerships, through new solutions that helps us to open and penetrate further in terms of Visa acceptance. So that's my job. In terms of what I have learned from CUHK, I think a lot of it, what I learned, I had applied in the initial part of the career, but some things have still stayed with me. One is when I started with my MBA at that time, the concept of what do you do in operations, what do you do in marketing, what do you do in how do you read P&L, all of that was super new to me, and that has helped me even until now. When I look at a financial statement, I'm able to read it because of all the learnings and the courses that were taught earlier. So a lot of that has stayed with me, and that then it has grown further because of the different roles that happen in between.
Right. Monish, I'll come to you. You have spent some time at Hong Kong, and right now you are in India, you're working. What sort of a difference have you seen in terms of the work culture, in terms of the people, in terms of, in general, how things move in these two countries, and how are you dealing with these right now, and what are your future plans?
Okay, so frankly speaking, like in terms of culture, I would say there's not much difference, except for that, in India, we interact with people from different states. In Hong Kong, you interact with people from different countries. That's the difference, I would say, from culture point of view. But yeah, the work culture is a little bit different. I would say. Obviously, if you move to a different country, they have different working styles. So obviously, the work culture is a little bit different. But yeah, it's more or less similar. And as far as my future plans are concerned, like I'm right now focusing building a career in consulting, and that's what I intend to do in the long term as well, at least for the 5-10 years.
Right. There's one question that has come up. It's saying how hard it is to apply for jobs in other countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, specifically after studying in UK. So, I mean, about the UK context, leaving the UK context behind, if you guys can take up this question, how difficult or easy is to apply for these jobs? You mentioned that there are jobs for sure in Hong Kong. Prasanna was telling us about it. But is this a difficult process for people coming in from different nationalities? People like Abhishek and Monish who are coming in from India, have studied there, or have spent some time there learning from one or the other program. How difficult or easy it becomes for them?
I would say it is. I think CUHK, given its extraordinary programs, will open doors for you. Like Abhishek said, it has an extraordinary exchange program where you develop that network and are able to make those connections and truly leverage them. All business in Hong Kong happens in English, and so I think that is never a barrier for jobs. And in general, yeah, they mean business. Hong Kong means business, and so it's a terrific environment to yeah, to get things done, and I find it extraordinarily efficient, and it is probably one of the most efficient places I've seen around the world, and I've been around the block, and so yeah, I would think this will open more doors for you than otherwise.
Right. Let's talk to our audience a little bit who is watching this. As I mentioned, there's a free consultation session that you guys can be part of. If you want to know more about this particular institute. As I mentioned before, also there is this CUHK MBA Excellence, the full scholarship that is for offer for the students who want to be part of this particular institute. If you want to grab this opportunity of this full scholarship, you have to submit your application before the 31st of January 2023. The link is in the description. The links are also in the chat. You can go through those and learn more about it. And as I mentioned, there is a free consultation session as well for clarifying your doubts. So do boost that up as well. Moving on, final few questions. I would not hold you guys back for long because I'm sure that you guys have other commitments as well. One last piece of advice, Abhishek and Monish, if you have to share with our students or people who are watching this particular conversation webinar, if they are from different sort of backgrounds, are working in kind of roles where they're probably not giving their 100% or not happy or want to upskill themselves, and at the crossroads of doing an MBA in India or abroad, what would be your advice to them for them to prosper in their lives?
I would say a couple of things. One, don't be afraid of changing industries or changing your career path. If you think that you are not best suited for what you're doing currently, or you're not very enthusiastic about what you're doing currently, there are plenty of options that you can choose from. So what you need is a bit of, like I said, patience, but a lot of learning along the way. You need to know about that industry where you want to eventually go, and a lot of that could be taught in the B schools, but you also have to be hungry, and you have to be that enthusiastic about the new thing that you want to do. But changing career paths, I was a software engineer before. Now I'm doing innovation, sales. I've been in different roles, including strategy. All of that has not been as difficult as it sounds, or as I thought it would be when I was trying to move from a technology IT company to a more multinational, or even the e-commerce and fintech side of the world. So being hungry, being enthusiastic, and gaining a lot of knowledge along the way in the things that you are keen on are keys to move careers or make career switch.
Right. Monish, what's your opinion?
From my point of view, I think MBA is a life-changing decision. So if you are planning for an MBA and even planning to switch career, I think you should choose a program that makes you prepare for the future uncertainties. I know that things have changed a lot, and I see that things will change a lot in the coming days as well. So if you are doing an MBA, it should make you ready for those future uncertainties. You should be capable enough to meet those challenges.
Right. Prasanna, final words to the students who are looking at it, to people who probably are looking forward to change the career path that they are already on. What would be your advice for them?
Oh, this is a terrific question. And look at the kinds of themes that are coming up when Abhishek and Monish speak, right? So Abhishek says, learn to take risks, don't say no, embrace change. Monish was also telling us how one needs to be open and embrace uncertainty. Yeah. So my advice would be similar. I mean, learn. I think it is very important that you find a way to learn, and then to understand things differently. I think that is very important. And I would also say that one needs to take care of the mind, and So everybody tells you what one needs to do to have a strong body. You have to move it, push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and all those things. Yeah. But to truly have a strong mind, it is quite the opposite. You have to keep it still. And so worry less. And so my general advice would be worry less. There is no simple linear path that will take you from what you think is your current state and to this desired state. Yeah. And so you can't bubble wrap yourself through life. And so it's okay. You'll fail along the way a little bit. But yeah, I mean, embrace the change, learn, you have nothing much to lose. So learn as much as you can and learn to love yourself as well.
Lovely. Superb words to end this particular evening. Thank you very much, Abhishek, Monish, and Prasanna for being part of this webinar. I hope that it was useful and important for people who are thinking about an MBA abroad or are thinking Hong Kong to be their preferred place to do the same. If you guys want to know more, as I've mentioned again and again, there's a link in the description and in the chat box. Feel free to click on those links. There is a counseling session that you can be part of. Do use that as well, and there is a full scholarship that you can avail as well. More on that is on those links. Thank you once again, guys. Abhishek, Monish, and Prasanna, and all the very best for the future and the kind of things that you want to achieve and have desired for in your lives. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Lovely chatting.
Yeah.
Bye.